All right, testing that.
And that's not their authority, that's the other.
Let's switch over to the speaker.
No, they do it.
I don't know.
It's just exciting. It's no one's anything to do about it. But it's 65. Yeah.
Next week. Yeah.
Oh, the camera is facing.
One of the here, so it's not kind of when you're in the phone, you change different people.
Yeah, so I can do that over here.
No, you want to leave this one because this is the line.
Okay, so I'll do it here too. Yeah, maybe when she starts talking.
All right, aloha kako, welcome everyone. Welcome, good evening. Thanks for joining us. To open our meeting this evening, I'd like to welcome one of our fellow board members, Lonnie Olson Chong, with a quick pule. Thank you, Lonnie.
Our kind and righteous Father in heaven, we come to thee this evening, so grateful, Father in heaven, for the opportunity to be here as community members. We're grateful for the leadership that James provides to all of us for the Waimea Community Association. We ask thee to bless those who might be on their way, that they may arrive in safety. And we ask thee, Father in heaven, that all that is said and done here tonight will be for the benefit of our community and keep everyone safe to and from. This is our prayer, in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Mahalo, Lonnie. Thank you very much. My name is James Eustace. I'm the president of the Waimea Community Association. Thank you all for joining us here this evening. It's good to see all of you here on a little cold, wet night in Waimea, of course, typical night here. We're here at Tutu's house as we connect with our presenters and our viewers in kind of a hybrid setting here. So we'll be having some of our people join us online. Some of our guests and our presenters will be here online with us as well. And then those watching the live stream, thank you for being there. I always encourage you to follow, like, and subscribe to the Waimea Community Association on our social accounts. You can also find relevant information up on our website at waimeatown.org. We do strive to keep our accounts active and up to date. This evening, we're streaming both to YouTube and Facebook, and this recording will be made available later for viewing at any point. So at this point, I'd like to recognize my fellow board members, our Vice President, Mary Beth Lachek. Our treasurer is not here this evening, but that's Jeremy Madrid. Our secretary, Nancy Carr-Smith, in the back over here. Patty Cook. David Greenwell. Whitney Harvey. Lonnie Olson Chong, who will be our timer this evening. He's in the back there next to Whitney. Riley's up in the front, collecting membership fees and dues and any donations you'd like to make. And then Chris Wong in the back over next to the captain. On behalf of the Waimea Community Association Board, we're grateful for the support shown by the community to hold these town meetings. So thank you for being here and supporting us. And thank you all for your interest, for joining our past meetings, for sharing and viewing those recordings. We're also grateful for the generosity of Tutu's house. It's been important for us to bring our meetings back in person while maintaining that virtual component that we've brought to the community over the past 2 years plus now. The Waimea Community Association is a nonprofit organization that strives to promote open participation by the Waimea community, develop leadership, support smart growth for the region. And if you'd like to support the work that we have done, you are welcome to join and donate as a member. You can also visit waimeatown.org for more information there, or visit Riley up in the front. Your contributions to membership allow us to reach out and connect with the community. And in this setting and support the work that WC has done for the past 60 years. So thank you for your support very much. Our main focus this evening will be to grow our understanding of the work being done to manage and address our community housing efforts. We'll also be spending time with our South Koala police officers, our county council chair, and a handful of guests to share about their community work and some ongoing upcoming events. We've allocated the time at the end of our agenda to share your questions. We appreciate community members sending their questions ahead of time, of course. And for our viewers online, please use the live chat. We'll do the best we can to capture your questions and share them with our guests here this evening. And for those of you attending in person, if you have a question, it is picking up sound, by the way. So whatever sound you make, the camera will pick you up. That's for sure. Yeah, so those attending in person here, if you have a question, please raise your hand at that point in the agenda. We also have note cards we can pass out. that we can collect your questions. We'll do the best we can address as many questions as we can in the time we have. So to start things off, I'd like to welcome Captain Evangelista and our two CPO officers, Officer Cabanti and Officer Robinson, are on the call here to give us some updates. Welcome, Captain.
Hey, thanks, James. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
I'll just start off by saying, in March, we had 51 traffic collisions reported to us in March. And the reason I bring this up, I'm sorry, is April is National Distracted Driver Awareness Month. So our campaign this month is going to be focusing on distracted driving. We're encouraging everyone to put away their electronic devices while they're driving, put away their distractions, and focus on the road in front of you and your fellow drivers. So we had 51 traffic collisions reported to us in March. Thankfully, only a small percentage, 8 were major traffic crashes. Major traffic crashes are ones that include injury and or damage to property in excess of $3,000. So thankfully, those 8 is a pretty small number, but we feel that the community can always do better. So we want to encourage everybody to pay attention to your driving, pay attention to your fellow drivers, and avoid accidents. With that, I think I'll turn it over to what, I forget if it was Justin or Ansel that was going to go next. One of you guys, please.
All right, thank you, Cap. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Before I get started, just a couple of announcements that's going to be happening in the month of April. On the 20th, we're going to be up at PTA doing the PTA experience, and that is from 9 to 1 o'clock. And that's along with me and Officer Robinson and our Area 2 TEU and traffic enforcement personnel. They'll be up there as well. Also on the 21st of April from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., we have a Food Truck Friday. School Resource Officer Brown will be there doing KKIDs. So please stop by if you know anybody that needs KKIDs for their children. Let them know about that. It's all in our newsletter that was issued yesterday. Also, just a quick touch on the 38th annual Troy Barboza Torch Run for Special Olympics. For us West Side, Kona will be on the 23rd and Hilo will be the 29th. So it's all in the newsletter. If you guys want to donate, look in the newsletter. And last one is our National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, which is from the 10th to the 14th. And that is for our dispatchers. If you guys know any dispatchers, we just want to let them know that, we appreciate their work as well. But I'll get started with the traffic enforcement. The traffic trends report. So for the month of March, our Southpaw officers were able to issue a total of 568 citations. Majority of that was speeding citations and regulatory citations. We did have 69 moving citations and 31 seatbelts. And we did issue 37 mobile electronic device citations, so cell phones, etc. And they did make 4 DUI arrests. In total, there was 24 grant-funded projects conducted in the District of South Kohala. And like the captain said, March, we did have 8 major traffic collisions. We did have 7 last March, 2022. Our officers responded to 26 reckless driver calls within the district and initiated, how much did we initiate? We initiated 0 fatalities in the month of March for South Kohala District. I'll pass it over to Officer Robinson.
Hello, everyone. So for the last month concerning crimes, South Kohala received 6 reports of assaults, 4 reports of burglaries, 9 reports of criminal property damage, 19 reports of theft, 4 of which were retail theft or, shoplifting kind of investigations. Happy to report there were no robberies. We had 2 unauthorized controlled propelled vehicles, or otherwise known as auto thefts, and 2 UEMVs, also known as unauthorized entry into a motor vehicle. And I thought I would also touch on one more thing about the upcoming month. We also have a food truck event in Kamuela on the 21st. Officer Micah Braun will be attending that. And we encourage you guys to come out to that. In addition, Cynthia Ho's excellent organization, Keep Pulico Beautiful, will be hosting an Earth Day beach cleanup, which we also included a mention of in our newsletter. If you guys want to get involved, she has a great organization and is looking for volunteers. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Ansel. To wrap it up, just a reminder, tomorrow's Good Friday. It's a holiday for us county workers, so our public offices will be closed tomorrow, but our officers are still out there working, trying to keep people safe over the long weekend. Before I split, did anybody have any questions?
I just had a comment I made,
Yes,
just to
Karen.
say thank you. The CPO newsletter is terrific. And it really makes a difference for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Captain. Thank you, officers.
Be safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, now we have a number of community announcements. So first up, I'd like to welcome up is Jadine Kanikoa with Waikoloa Beach Marriott to speak about the Guinness World Record attempt for the longest lay. Welcome, Jadine.
Aloha, thank you for having me here tonight. Last time I think I speak with you all was virtually with my brother Ocean for Putting It by Ocean, but when I'm not being bossed around by a teenager, my full-time job is actually at the Waikoloa Beach Marriott Resort in Spa, where I am the senior marketing manager there. My partner Lani Kila, who's our cultural advisor, couldn't be here tonight, so I will speak on his behalf. But the Waikoloa Beach Marriott Resort in Spa is pleased to announce that we are attempting the Guinness World Record for the longest fresh lay. Currently, I mean, really strange, but the current record is held in India, where they have a lei that is made out of carnations that is 3.11 miles long. We are shooting to break that record and surpass it with a goal of 5 miles long. We have chosen to do a tea leaf lei. As many of you know, tea leaf is resilient. We're able to keep adding to it daily. And so that is why we chose to do that sort of foliage. There are other records. I think the other one is held in Waikiki for the longest paper lei, but as far as a fresh lei, this is our attempt to bring it back home to the islands and bring it back to the Big Island in particular. So really interesting. We have workshops daily for our guests. We do cultural activities daily, as well as crafts and whatnot that are led by our cultural advisors and our team, really just to share with our guests the history and the culture behind our island, so that they leave here with more of an understanding of who we are and what we do here. And it's not just, you know, a playground, but there's a lot of rich and vibrant culture behind the islands. And so this was sort of an effort that the team put together. They started back in November. We had to go through the entire process of working with Guinness World Records. So we filed all the paperwork. Keila told me the stack was like this big of all the official work that they had to do. And they actually, Guinness made an adjustment for us to include it to be flowers and foliage, which is why we can use the tea leaf for this. So that is a garden hose spool that they have the lei wrapped around on. We do have workshops at the hotel every day at 10 a.m. Guests are welcome to come. They teach them how to twist. We do the hilo braid style twist of the lei. And once they are comfortable, they can add segments to the actual world record lei. And with that, we have also invited many of our community members to come down. With the pictures that you saw, Kanu Oka'aina came down last week. They brought about 25 students from kindergarten up to middle school. And we spent about 2 hours with them just working on leis and contributing. This has been a great effort, and the official measurement will take place on Lei Day, May 1st. So we'll take it to Waikoloa Bowl. We don't actually know how we're going to really do it, but they're going to stretch it out. And we will have an official person from Guinness that is able to measure the lei on May 1st. They'll go through the paperwork and we'll get the final word if we win the award. So currently, I'm happy to share that we are just shy of 3 miles. And so we're almost there. And we invite community members, if you folks want to come down. Every day, like I said, 10 a.m. And if you want to maybe put together a private workshop, we also do that as well. A big push will be at Lei Day, which the Waikoloa Resort is hosting on Sunday, April 30th. So come on down. It's going to be vendors, crafts, all sorts of things, and we will be, that's our final push for this Leia tent. Tea leaves, donations, welcomed, anything like that. But yeah, happy to bring some fun to the guests at the Waikoloa Resort and also to our community members, so.
Molly, Jenny, thank you.
Yeah,
Does it matter what size tea leaf you're looking for?
we take any colors, any sizes, and we will debone and clean them. We have all the guests do that as part of their experience, so. And I can provide you with my contact information in Lanakila, so if anybody wants to reach out to just let us know. Just to mention too, we can also direct you on how to make it if you want to make it at home and bring it down and he'll tie it on to the official day.
How exciting. Thank you so much. Mahalo, Janine. Next up, I'd like to welcome on Kristen Frost Albrecht with the Hawaii Food Basket to speak about one of their programs called the Kapuna Pantry and really kind of what we may be seeing coming forward. So Christine, if you could share this with us, and happy to have you join us. Thank you. Might be still muted there, Christine. Sorry. Let me make sure you did. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try it again.
Thank you.
Good evening. Aloha. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you all. Nice to be doing a hybrid event and that so many people are there in person. Just so you know, it's wet and cold in Keau too, which is where I am at tonight. So you're not alone in the weather. On the food front, on the hunger front, I should say, March has been a little bit rough. The last 3 years have been a little rough, but we had something called the benefits cliff begin, which means that first the pandemic benefits ended, which was making a substantial difference for a lot of folks that were using SNAP. That included both families as well as there was a program called EBT for Keiki for school-age kids, making a huge difference. So all of that has ended in March. And then what also happened, and this is particularly what I wanted to talk to you about tonight, was that Social Security payments for our seniors increased with a cost of living adjustment called a COLA. However, in the way the government works, that cost of living increase knocked a lot of our seniors off of SNAP because the eligibility for SNAP did not change to accommodate that cost of living increase. So we're hearing some pretty tough stories for people that just were really counting on those SNAP benefits, and especially in our seniors, it's been super tough. So we have a program that I wanted to tell everybody about, and we've been lucky enough to increase the spots on the program. And it's called, it's a mouthful, Commodity Supplemental Food Program, CSP, but we call it Kapuna Pantry. This is a federal program that provides eligible seniors 35 to 40 pounds of food once a month, and this is distributed island-wide. These foods include canned, frozen, refrigerated items. The range of things, those canned items can include vegetables, fruit, lots of protein typically, which is of course really expensive these days. Peanut butter is often in there. It also includes things like dried milk that people find really useful to help with cooking. It varies every month somewhat. And we, whenever possible, try and supplement this program with additional items of fresh produce, which means we're writing grants constantly just to try and do that. Our seniors are loving it when we can provide them fresh produce because it is so very expensive, as everybody knows. So we serve 1,361 individuals around the island. And like I said, we recently increased this program, so that's the total amount. But if you know of somebody who might benefit from this program, please have them call our main number at 808-933-6030, and somebody will help them. Just a note that our offices and warehouses are also closed for the holiday tomorrow, but if they leave a message, we'll get right back to them on Monday. just to also make everyone aware, this program does require a picture ID and a phone number for people to be eligible. And then there's some income guidelines. Those are all on our website at hawaiifoodbasket.org. And again, we really encourage anybody that you know that might benefit from this just to call. We try and help everyone one way or another. If for some reason they don't qualify, but they need help with food, we can help direct them to food for them and their families. I also just wanted to say the applications are also on our website for Kupuna Pantry, and or they can be picked up at either Kona or Hilo offices. Okay. Another program that can help residents access food during this particularly tough time is SNAP. We are the SNAP outreach provider for the island, and we have specialists in both Hilo and Kona that can help lead folks through the application process. Because this is a federal program, there are several items that will be required to find out if somebody is eligible for the program. If people make it through the process, and so many do, they'll receive a COCUA card from DHS, and that DHS is who determines the amount of benefits that a person receives. So that's a great program, and we've been getting wonderful feedback that people are getting helped right away if they check in with DHS. And then finally, I just wanted to remind everybody we have a program called the Bucks, Double Up Food Bucks, and that provides a 50% discount for SNAP participants at select grocery stores, food hubs, and community-supported agriculture programs, as well as farmers markets. And people who have SNAP can get 50% off of Hawaii-grown produce. This program also is statewide, although it did start here. KTA Superstores is one of our wonderful participants, as are the Malama markets in Honokaa and Ocean View. So more information on that at debucks.org. And then just finally, for those who don't qualify for federal programs, again, they can access our emergency food distribution at either of our warehouses in Kona or Hilo. There's wonderful food pantries, many in Waimea, that we have listed on our website, and people can contact us for the times that those are open. If we have several emergency food pantries too, and I just, again, want to point out those are on our website too. So food pantries aren't open all the time, but if somebody needs help and they need food, we can get it to them as soon as we can, and usually within a few hours. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate all that you do and the service you provide for our community members. Thank you. Yes, Patty.
Something. I think a lot of us in this room are very lucky not to be missing a meal, but there are lots of community friends in this neighborhood that are. And a couple of days, last week, we had our weekly distribution, twice monthly distribution at Annunciation. And at the end of the line, they do about 175 bundles of food a week. At the end of the line, up pulls a van from the Office of Aging with 11 kupuna in it, needing food. And at that point, we only had 5 bags left. And we gave it to them, and they were thrilled, and they were sit there when they were tears, but they were willing to share it, and they actually gave a cash donation. But the point is this benefits cliff is here. So if you can help and don't need food, but could help with a donation, we have a number of food distribution programs in Waimea, St. James, Annunciation, Kokua Christian Ministries. There's also the one that grabbed the Hungry Fridge on the Lanai at the whatever it's called, Honeyalo
Reservation.
Please help.
Yeah.
It's people are needing help, but just because the pandemic worse is over, it's not when it comes to hunger. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Kristen, once again. We look forward to kind of having a topic about this in the future at some of our town meetings. So we'll have you invited, definitely, Kristen. So thanks for being a part of this conversation and moving these programs forward. Mahalo to you. We had one thing on the agenda about the Waimea Resilience Hub. There's some things in the works with that, and we'll kind of bring that back when that's a little bit topics a little bit ready to discuss and share. But there's a team in Waimea kind of working on that, and I know there are resilience hubs across the island doing good work, trying to connect our communities. I'm going to run through real quickly here just a bunch of different community announcements and updates. The first one is not this one, but that's fine. This, I had this in my second one, because the first one doesn't have an image. It's
Ah,
actually just an
okay.
announcement. So I ran into Cheryl Langton, who's the president of Waimea Outdoor Circle and the Ulula'au Nature Park. Many of you are probably familiar with it, enjoy it. Their driveway is closed right now. So if you want to go, they're only going by foot traffic, either on the trail or walking there across the road. They are redoing their driveway. So it's a big project there. Be a concrete driveway to get in and out. And it should last the project probably through the month. So please expect some impact there for the community. And as always, a lot of the images and events that we share here are also posted up on our social media pages, primarily our Facebook page. The first one here is actually tomorrow. There's a Waimea Spring Fest, second annual at Bukalani Stables. So there's Easter egg hunts, and I know we posted another Easter egg hunt that's happening this weekend as well, and that's at Thelma Parker Library. So a lot of things going on in the spring. Very busy. Everyone's active. Everyone wants to get out and do stuff. So this is fantastic. Thank you, Mary Beth. The next one, and this kind of speaks to the work that Tutu's House does as well. They have a lot of different activities going on. They have one this weekend. It's a presentation about Hawaiian culture, arts and crafts, kind of a history of all that. So if you're interested, information's here. It's Saturday in the evening. And these are all free events at Tutu's House. So grateful for the work that they do to put these events together. And then the library is also returning with different activities going on, and they're returning with their movie nights. And so they have one actually Saturday, April 15th. Looks like a Top Gun, could be a fun outing with the family at the library there. And then I'm just gonna keep rolling through. some
Yeah,
of these.
I rearranged the next one
Ah.
because it was sequential, you had them sequential.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Here we go. This was the due date.
Okay, so this one is important because this is a new commission that we all passed as voters. This is something we voted on, the Youth Commission. So I don't think anyone in this room is between the ages of 14 and 24, unfortunately. But if you know someone, grandkid, children, this is an opportunity for them to get involved in our community work and at the county level as well. Passionate civic engagement, resident, and this is really an opportunity to engage the youth in some of our inner workings of our government and offer opportunities and resources to our council members and different ideas to bring forward in that sort of venue. Thank you, Mary Beth. Then coming up a little bit later this month is Experience PTA Day. This is an annual event that they put on. There's more information on their website. We were lucky this past weekend in Waimea. We had about 40 Army soldiers come through town and work on the Waimea Stream Trail. They did a big clearing of the stream. There were some news outlets about that, news events that were popped up about that, and some videos that you may go back and look and see. Did some interviews with the officers there. But this is another event that they're putting on amongst the other community activities that they're engaged with. So also coming up, this is that same day, April 20th, HPA, Hawaii Preparatory Academy, is putting on a special screening of a documentary. This is from a Waimea resident by the name of Stephen Forbes, a critically acclaimed film, and there's a kind of a special documentary screening of this on their campus, if you're interested in attending that. And then, as the officers mentioned early on, we have a Waimea Family Food Truck Friday happening a little later this month, and that's that Friday, April 21st at Keck Observatory's headquarters, right on their lawn there. Thank you. And then, as the officers will mention, there's a Earth Day beach cleanup that weekend, Saturday the 22nd, down at Puuko Boat Ramp. And then also that weekend is, oh, sorry, no, you're good, is the Early Childhood Symposium happening down in King Kamehameha Kona Beach Hotel. So kind of a busy weekend there as well. A lot of things going on. There's a cost to register, and there's more information. This is up on our Facebook page if you want to read it, and more information about that. But some big speakers and talking about early childhood. And then also, this is looking into May, but just to get it on your radar, is the Fentanyl, second annual Hawaii Fentanyl Addiction Summit, and it will be hosted here in Waimea. It's gonna be at Kuhio at Hawaii, not Kuhio, excuse me, Kahilo Town Hall, Mauna Christian Ohana Hale there. And there's a fee to join there as well, but some mayors joining and a number of other speakers that are really looking out for us and talking about fentanyl, and we've been working with as a community association as well. And I think that's
I
it.
think that's it.
All right. Thanks for bearing with me on that one. But like I said, a lot of those are posted up on our Facebook page if you really need to go back and capture the information there. There's a lot of details on some of those. And then, I always get up here and I talk for a long time about COVID-19 and I didn't talk about it last time, but it still is really our kuleana in our communities. It's still kind of moving around a little bit. So if you're always feeling unwell, and I'm not a doctor, of course, but looking forward to have some of our doctors come up to and join us here at some point to talk about these things in our community and some of the impacts they have in our community and what more we can do. Not just that, but other things that we need to do as community members to stay healthy and aware of things going on. But just remember, it's our kuleana to be informed, get vaccinated when you haven't when you have a chance to, wear masks when we're appropriate, get tested, stay home when you're feeling ill, just looking out for each other and the community as a whole. So thank you. All right. So thanks for that blitz through there. So for our monthly meetings, we do attempt to recognize the work that fellow nonprofit organizations carry out in our community. And for the month of April, Waimea Community Association will be spotlighting the Alex and Duke Dorrego Foundation. With the summer months right around the corner, and as an island community, ocean safety and awareness is crucial for our keiki and our residents. And we are grateful for the work carried out by the Alex and Duke Dorrego Foundation and to share and grow these skills. So this evening we are joined by Shirley Dorrego as we learn more about this. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Aloha, thank you for having me. It's a privilege. It's a privilege for me anytime I get to share about what we do at the Alex and Duke Dorrego Foundation. One of the things, this foundation was started 11 years ago, and it is named after two of my children, Alex and Duke, who both lost their lives at a young age due to tragic accidents. And so in a way to prevent that from happening to other children, I started the Alex and Duke Dorrego Foundation. And our mission is to provide water safety education, drowning, and injury prevention to middle school children. Here's a picture of some students down at Hapuna with the lifeguards who participate in the program. We are creating a culture where water safety education is a way of life for students here in Hawaii. We live on an island, and it's very disturbing somewhat to say how not every child knows how to swim. When I have this program, a lot of kids that come from different schools and participate in it, some girls don't have a bathing suit because they don't swim. They don't know how to swim. So it's an eye opener that we live on an island and not all of our children know how to swim. But you can go to the next slide. So here's Alexander and Duke. Alex is on the top. He was 12 years old when he fell into the ocean on the south side of Kona, where we believe he was crossing a plank in the dark of the night, and he slipped and fell into the water. I'm not sure a lot of you from Waimea remember that, but there was a huge, it was probably one of the largest air and rescue searches that Hawaii has seen. I never did recover his body. And then 5 years later, Alexander was 12 years old when that happened. 5 years later, my youngest son, Duke, he fell off a golf cart while he was going around the neighborhood, just cruising with his friends. There was nothing malicious that was done. The driver took a sharp turn into a hidden driveway, and Dookie fell off. When he fell off, the children panicked. No one called 911. No one ran for help. And finally, they did. And Duke was air medevac to Queens Medical Center, where he passed away 3 days later. But that's what kids do. They're scared. They don't know what to do. They're scared. Nobody wants to get in trouble. And so part of our program teaches them first aid CPR. It teaches them what to do, injury prevention, and it's as simple as just call 911. So the Alex and Duke Dorrego Foundation is committed to drowning prevention in our youth ages 11 to 13 on the Big Island of Hawaii. We work in school. We work in a school environment, preparing our youth with the knowledge, skills, and life-saving experience they need to stay safe, in and out of the ocean. We provide a classroom curriculum and hands-on training in water safety and ocean awareness education to middle school students. Our goal is to create a culture of water safety education as a way of life, that every sixth grade middle school student here on our island will participate in such a program. You can turn the slide. One summer, I spent the whole summer with the junior lifeguard program. And when I created the foundation, I was coming home from Oahu. I was on a airplane, Hawaiian Airlines, and their in-flight magazine talked about the next generation of lifesavers, and it was the junior lifeguards. And so while I was reading the article, their mission was my mission. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So I thought, why reinvent the wheel? So I partnered with the junior lifeguard program, and I partnered with them for about 6 years. And one school year, Parker School asked me if I could put on a health and safety program for their students to end that safety week. So we said, yeah, and they came to Hapuna and they ran through these 5 interactive stations where this one here, ocean awareness, they sit with the lifeguard and the lifeguard teaches them about the rip currents, the tides, what the ocean looks like, what the ocean looks like on the top, what's happening underneath. So they'll spend 35 minutes in this station. They'll get on surfboards, water rescue. Some of them have never been on a paddleboard, so now they know what it takes to get on a paddleboard. They'll learn how a paddleboard can be used as a rescue flotation device to help as another aid in safeguarding their lives in the ocean. Can turn it. They go through physical fitness. There's a station where they run the beach. They do physical fitness because in order to be in the ocean, you have to be physically fit. It takes a lot from you to be in the ocean. A lot of times people drown in a rip current, not because they got caught in the current, because they lose their energy, because they're fighting against the current and they've just exhausted themselves. So they run through this physical fitness station and you can turn, and then they do CPR first aid. They have an opportunity to work on mannequins. They go through some first aid scenarios, and all of my instructors are either Hawaii County lifeguards or Hawaii County firemen that look forward to participating in our program. Some of our firefighters, a lot of the lifeguards and firefighters went to Waimea Middle School. They started Waimea Middle School. They're Honoka'a graduates. So they're just thrilled to give back to our community in that way. You can turn. Another thing that the Alex and Duke DeRego Foundation does is we provide rescue tubes for remote spots where there might not be a lifeguard. We had a rescue tube down at Pololu a few years ago, and it saved a family of 5 from North Carolina. The mother and children went into the ocean and got caught in a rip current. The father and another son jumped in to save them, and he got caught in the rip current. There was an off-duty firefighter who was leaving Pololu, and he heard screaming going on. And when he looked down, he saw people running back and forth on the beach. And he ran down, he grabbed the rescue tube, and he saved the whole family. He went in and saved the whole family. The father was so exhausted that he couldn't make the trip out of Pololu. So the fire rescue helicopter came down and brought him out. Our tube also saved a young girl's life down in Pololu, where a bunch of kids from YWAM in Kona, a Christian university, went hiking. She got caught in the rip current, and the rescue tube was thrown to her and aided her in her rescue. I had a friend that was down there and took a picture of it and texted it to me. So the rescue tube comes out of the Rescue Tube Foundation in Kauai. And the gentleman there and I, we partnered together. And so we put them out on remote beaches. And if any of you ever see the post there and no rescue tube on it, you can go to our website and just shoot me an email and tell me, hey, I saw
the hardware, but your tube's not there, and it's our Juliana to go back down and take another tube there. But this has been very successful in saving lives. So whatever we can do as far as making, keeping people safe by the ocean, it's what we do at the Alex and Duke DeRego Foundation. And so I've taken a tragedy, a terrible tragedy, and I turned it into a triumph. And when all of these kids come to Hapuna from different schools, Waimea Middle School, Lapahoehoe, tomorrow we're doing Parker School, Kanuokaina, Honaka'a, these are all lives that my children, because of them, will impact them in some way. They'll remember Auntie's story. If all you can do is call 911, then just call 911. How many of our children sometimes are left home with their younger sibling, grandma, grandpa? And so I encourage them not to be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just call 911. Everybody has a cell phone today. So that's one of the strongest messages that I give to the kids when I'm there. And I'm at the beach too. I go to the beach too. I've got to try stop doing that. But I'm there at the beach on every school program. But you can turn the next slide. But anyways, mahalo to our community. My family is from here. My mother was born and raised here on the Big Island. So this is my home, and this will always be my home. And as long as I'm alive, this program will be in the schools and keeping our children safe. You can visit our website, the Alex and Duke DeRego Foundation.com. We also have a documentary, a film that was just made, and it's on YouTube. It's Ocean Safety, Alex and Duke DeRego Foundation. But thank you so much, Patty Cook. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to bring this information to our community. Mahalo.
Oh, thank you, Shirley. So to support the Alex and Duke DeRego, we can either visit this website here. We also are passing the basket this evening. So if you're so inclined to give a donation, we're much appreciated that we'll give to the Alex and Duke DeRego Foundation. Thank you, Shirley. Next up, I'd like to welcome our county council member, our chair, Heather Kimball, to give us a few updates and the happenings of the county council. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, James, and nice to see everybody finally in person. It's been so long. It's been really great to have all of these different communities and finally being able to reconnect again one-on-one. There's a couple of things I wanted to go over today, but just to start, as chair of the council, one of the things that I wanted to ensure was that the administration and the council were truly working together around shared priorities for the benefit of the whole community. We have an obligation as the county government to try to provide you with the best service. And if we're just battling each other between the executive branch and the legislative branch, well, we're not serving everyone as well as we could. And so the mayor and I sat down in January and we said, okay, what are some of the key objectives that we can agree on as priorities for the next term for us to work on together? And housing ended up at top of the list, and I'm going to speak a little bit about it. I don't want to steal your thunder, Sharon, but housing is at the top of the list, and it's followed by wastewater and solid waste management. We have some pretty serious environmental issues, particularly with respect to the wastewater wastewater facility in particular is of grave concern. Third is really internal efficiencies within the county, which doesn't sound sexy at all. But when you think about how we can better deliver services, making sure that we have the right infrastructure, whether it's software infrastructure, hardware infrastructure, facilities, things like that, that's what we can do to improve. And let me give you an example. Our finance director always likes to tell the story that our financial system that we use for tracking right now, we got it when her son was born. He now just went off to college. So that gives you an idea of how long we've been using the same financial system. And there's a lot of things that are tied into that that actually end up creating expense and wasted time for the county, as well as a lot of extra paper. So, things like that are things that we can agree that we're working on from the legislative branch. We're looking at trying to do that ourselves, really cut back on particularly the amount of paper we use, man hours that we use for logistical aspects of our job. We're trying to digitize a lot. We will be digitizing all of our bills and the tracking system. We're working on that right now. So working on efficiencies, making sure that we're delivering services to the county in the most efficient, cost-effective, and timely way. The fourth thing was really around energy and making sure that we are well on track to reach our renewable energy goals. And from the county standpoint, we don't have a lot of control over the energy as an industry, but what we do have control over is land use policy with respect to energy. And so looking at ways that we can facilitate the development of renewable energy projects. And we're also one of the co-applicants in a grant application to become a hydrogen hub. This is a federal Department of Energy program. We would be one of, I think we made it through the first round. It would mean $1 billion investment in this state for hydrogen energy production. And we, of course, on Hawaii Island are best positioned to actually access and be part of that program with our potential for geothermal resources as a way to produce hydrogen energy. So working with the administration on that, and of course, the last one was animal control, which we successfully completed last month. The last meeting, we talked a little bit about that. Councilmember Evans and I worked together with the administration to pull animal control out of HPD so that it was its own agency. I think the biggest impact that you guys will see with respect to that is that the animal control officer positions now are no longer contract positions. They're civil service positions. And why that's important is because we've had such a hard time finding people to fill those roles because they're on contract. So they don't have all of the benefits and the longevity that's associated with a civil service position. So we're hoping that by making these more appealing, we will get more applicants to be part of that agency, which I think will help us with addressing animal control problem significantly. So, back to the housing being the top of the list, we really thought there are three aspects that we're focusing on with respect to housing. And again, I won't go too deep into some of them because Susan knows way more than I do, but there's really three aspects of it. One is making it easier, more cost effective to build housing. Two is making sure that people who have housing get to stay in that housing. And then three, making sure that the housing that we have isn't diverted to other uses. And so on the first aspect, I am working with our Corporation Council as well as our Department of Public Works to look at how much ability we, the council, has to actually amend the building code. To be clear, the building code serves a really important purpose. It's there to protect public health and safety. But the building code is largely designed by people that live in temperate climates that don't have the same issues that we have. And so the way the HRS, the state law is written right now, it's not very clear that once we've adopted the code, we can come back and amend it. But I actually think legally we can. And so we're trying to get the authority to do that. Once we have that ability, the plan is to work with our design professionals to say, okay, what are some of the costly components of building that we can address that don't impact health and safety? And what is our minimum health and safety standard? So we're still ensuring that we're building safe buildings. Poor people don't deserve unsafe buildings, right? Poor people deserve safe buildings. We want to make sure that we can build them affordably, but we're still meeting that standards, not adding any additional costs. The other aspect of this is building is always going to be expensive in Hawaii, regardless of what you do with regulation, because land is expensive. We're bringing in most of our building materials from the mainland, and things take a lot of time. So we need to actually address those things too. And probably the best way to do this is to address the infrastructure issue. So places where we could build effectively, we need to be supporting that upfront with the development of the infrastructure So we've done things like support a housing production fund through the county. Also looking at supporting legislation at the state level now that looks like it's almost gonna get through, which would allow us to use some of our GE, the county GE for development of housing infrastructure. So once we provide that infrastructure on lots, it's more, it's probably more possible for developers to create affordable housing for our community members. With respect to keeping people in their homes, you know, we've had a lot of programs, particularly through the CARES funding and other packages that have allowed us to offer mortgage assistance. Susan's office has done a great job administering those. The other thing that we're looking at is with respect to property taxes. So most of you have gotten your assessments probably from the last year. How many noticed that their exemption went up? Yeah, and for me, that actually meant my taxes went down. And I'm not sure that's true for everybody, but one of the things we did do last year is we passed your base exemption went from 30 to 50,000, so 20,000 more, and your percentage deduction, which is 80%, sorry, 20% up to 100,000, went up from 80,000 to 100,000. So if you have a $500 home, you're getting a $500,000 home, you're getting $100,000 exemption plus that 50,000 base exemption, which will bring your overall tax down. If you're over 60, you're getting additional increases in your exemption rate. And the reason we went for a tax policy where we actually increased the exemption is that it's more progressive way to address the tax structure, meaning that folks with lower incomes, lower housing values actually get more benefit than those folks, the very wealthy folks at the other end of the scale. So that's why we chose to do that. The other thing that we're looking at right now has to do with tax policy on agricultural land. So if you're a homeowner, you get, and you're on a residential property, there's a 3% cap on your property value, which means if all your neighbors sell their houses for $2 million, yours doesn't go up like crazy. It actually is capped at a 3% increase. That doesn't exist on agricultural land, even if it's the primary home for the farmer. And so one of the things we're trying to do is put the 3% cap on primary residences for agricultural land to help our older farmers, you know, that've been there for years and years, who are suffering from the speculation that's happening in the agricultural market. The other thing, just to touch on real quickly, I'm almost out of time, is the short-term vacation rental bill that we're working on. Again, we recognize that we have to do something very different in Hawaii County. It's not going to work to just ban them in the areas other than resort zones, which is what they did in the city of County of Honolulu. It's an important way for some people to, you know, support their income, make sure they can stay here, but it's also there's areas of the island we don't have resort zoning, and we still want to be able to offer some vacation opportunities there. So we're working on the bill right now. It is available to preview on hawaiicountytar.com. The version 3 is up there right now. We're just about to release version 4, which has some pretty significant differences with respect to tax policy and permitting requirements. So happy to talk about that with anyone after. It's pretty complex, but please review our website. There is a page there with frequently asked questions too that I hope will clarify what our intention is with the bill. Thank you, James. I know that was a lot. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. All right, so our final portion, our last guest here, and then also allow some time for your questions to address the group here. We're going to be joined by Housing Administrator Susan Coons and the Office of Housing and Community Development as we build our understanding of the county housing pipeline with programs like the Hawaii County Affordable Housing Production Program, with an ultimate goal of all these programs and the office to identify opportunities to maintain our community fabric. So thank you for being here this evening, Administrator, as we learn about, as community members, learn about these issues and ways to support your efforts and what we can do as a community. So mahalo for joining us. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me this evening. So, you know, I know the main topic of interest was the Affordable Housing Production Fund, and I will be talking about that this evening. But I kind of wanted to take this opportunity, since this is the first time that I've been here with this group, to share a little bit about our office and kind of give you an overview of what we do, the programs that we're running. So the Hawaii County Office of Housing and Community Development is responsible for the planning, administration, and the operations of the county's housing programs. And for the most part, that's funding programs. Our mission is to provide for the development of viable communities and decent housing, suitable environments, and expanded economic opportunities. The Office of Housing is made up of 5 divisions. And so the existing housing division is what you might be familiar with as the Section 8 division. And so this division runs all of our subsidy programs. This is probably about 50% of my office in staffing and in funding, actually. Some of the programs that we run in addition to housing choice vouchers here are the Family Self-Sufficiency Program and the Home Ownership Program, which actually takes tenants who are actively participating in the Section 8 program. And for those of them who are eligible or interested, helps them to develop a program that they can move towards home ownership. So we've been pretty successful with that one, about almost 70 participants there. The grants management divisions, which I will take the opportunity to point out 2 of my staff right here tonight. Roy Shiroma and Linda Bowie are from this grants management division. But they administer and monitor all of our federal and some of our, the Housing Production Fund program happens within their division. The Community Development Division. This is the division that assists developers with resources and incentive programs for building affordable housing. We also, in this division, do manage all of the county's assets. So lease programs with county projects, and also improving some of the existing facilities that we have. And the newest and last division is our Community Engagement Division. So here, this division focuses on making sure that the community and the residents have an equitable access to services, and working with partners throughout the community. Through this program, and a lot of the grant funds that we've received in the last couple of years are actually flowing through this particular division as well. But the emergency rent program that you were familiar with for the last couple of years, Councilmember Kimball mentioned our mortgage program, mitigation program. A lot of our homeless coordination activities go through this program, but through this division as well. And then, of course, the last division is our administration, accounting, and human resources. So that division supports the rest of my organization. We have about 62 staff. When we first came on board, knowing how dire the affordable housing inventory was and how high the need was, the Hawaii Housing Planning Study identified that for this community, in order for us to meet our housing needs, we need to have about 10,000 units by 2024, and we're so far from it. When I came on board with this administration, there were probably about 1,200 units in the pipeline. So when I say that, I mean that there are projects equaling 1,200 units that are in some phase of development. 1,200. You know that development projects take 5-10 years. So to only have 1,200 in the pipeline is a pretty dire situation. Steve's kind of looking at me right. So what we did is we came up with some strategies for how we thought we might be able to start addressing the housing need. The first one is to do a comprehensive review and an update of Chapter 11. Chapter 11 is the county's inclusionary zoning policy or our affordable housing policy. It's probably about 35 years old, and it's been updated once since then, but I think there's really a need to take a look at this. through this chapter, the inclusionary zoning policy, it's a market-based policy, right? So it really relies on market-based units. And what the inclusionary zoning policy does is it sets aside a certain percentage of market development for affordable. So for Hawaii County, that's 20%. Whenever you have a market development, if there's a rezoning of a property, 20% of that project has to be affordable. You know, part of the problem is we don't even have market development going on. So, you know, 20% of zero is going to equal zero. So we really are taking a hard look at other ways to incentivize affordable housing development. Not by mandates, but maybe through some incentives. So that's kind of the direction we're going with our consultant. We are probably about a couple months away from really putting out that report. So we're working very hard with them to produce that report. The second strategy is a comprehensive review and update to the subdivision code, which is chapter 23, and the zoning code, chapter 25. So obviously this is a planning division or the planning department activity, but working very closely with the planning office, we knew that if we're going to see any kind of change in affordable housing development, there really needed to be a review of the zoning code and the subdivision code. So I know that Director Kern has visited with this group and has shared some information about his progress there. The third strategy that we have been working on is the establishment of an affordable housing fund. So I'm really glad with your talk, Councilmember Kimball, that we were very much aligned. The establishment of the Affordable Housing Fund was actually created this past year through an ordinance. And we are going to be talking about that a little bit later. I have a slide for that, but that is the Housing Production Fund. And I also want to tell you that there was another ordinance passed which supports homelessness and housing. And so that's another huge investment that the county has made in addressing housing for even lower income individuals. In the way of funding, the Office of Housing has also pursued congressional funds. And so last year we were able to secure through Senator Schatz and Senator Hirono, $10 million to do the Kukui Ola project in Kona. And we also secured this year $13 million to do the Old Memorial Hospital in Hilo. So really proud of that accomplishment that we've done in the way of funding for projects. Strategy 4. The use of county and state-owned lands for affordable housing development. You know, this is not a new concept, but we've really taken it to heart. We have probably about 6 state parcels that we've already submitted to the state, to the board for approval. 2 of them have already been approved, and we have now an executive order from the governor. Both of those parcels happen to be in Hilo, but the rest of the parcels that we're waiting on are scattered throughout the island. So we have a handful of those. We've also been working on several county parcels for development. And so I'll talk about a couple of them a little bit later in the slide. So the office has been working on some projects on county owned land as well. And the last strategy, development and expedited planning and permitting process for affordable housing projects. So I've been working with Public Works on this. We just recently finalized kind of a process between the departments on how we can coordinate to move affordable permitting for affordable housing projects. You know, it's a new template. It is focusing on 100% affordable housing project development. There's a couple of projects that we're kind of piloting, I guess I would call, for this process. So I'm hoping we can really facilitate that for affordable housing projects. Some of the additional strategies that we've been looking at is to facilitate infrastructure development by identifying ways that the county can commit resources to this. So when we talk about public-private partnership, and the county wanting to be a partner in that, we're really bringing something to the table. Not just the land, but maybe some of the infrastructure, to get ready for the developers to go vertical. Building code considerations. And then reducing the cost of developing affordable housing by identifying existing structures that could be converted into affordable housing, waiving of fees and exactions, and then using innovative and construction materials and methods, some of which Councilmember Kimball had mentioned. Moving on, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm limited for time and I have so much to share. So I'm just going to roll through some of these topics. Okay. So the next thing that I know that you were all interested in was the Affordable Housing Production Fund. Increasing the availability and accessibility of affordable housing remains to be their loss and top priority. So the County Council did pass an ordinance 22-27, which appropriates 22-77, which appropriates a minimum of $5 million annually. And I believe the language also says and a balance of anything in the general fund as directed by the finance director. So for this first year, we were appropriated $9 million. Okay. The primary objective of this affordable housing fund and program is to support, increase, and sustain the supply of affordable rentals and owner-occupied housing on the island. For the current fiscal year, OECD received $9 million, and we anticipate receiving at least $5 million in the next fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. We have finalized our administrative rules, and I believe we are about 10 days away from making it permanent. Okay. So, yeah, we're really making some progress there, just in time for us to issue our RFP for this funding stream. So this is what the funding breakdown is going to look like when we go out to RFP, hopefully in May, around there. So the first year appropriation of $9 million, we're anticipating about $5 million for next fiscal year. And so $13 million is what we're hoping to go out with in our first RFP. In order to be eligible, applicants must meet specific requirements. However, most public agencies, nonprofits, for-profit organizations, and community land trusts are eligible. So some of the eligibility requirements will include, not eligibility requirements, but I'm sorry, eligible activities will include acquisition of real property, planning, design, and construction of affordable housing, investment in infrastructure, and other activities that support and increase affordable housing. I guess we'll do questions at the very end.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna move into a listing of some of the projects that are coming up or are already on the market recently. James asked me to share maybe some housing projects that might be impacting this community. So this first one, Kaia'ulu or Waikoloa, just finished at the end of last year. This one is in the Waikoloa Village area, 60 apartments serving income groups from 30 to 60% AMI. This is a family rental project, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. I'm listing there some of the funding streams that the project used and the developer. Next project. This is a new one, Ho'omalu at Waikoloa. This one is going to be coming up in the Waikoloa Beach Resort area. The developer is currently updating permits and waiting for a determination on LIHTC funding. 229 apartments, 30 to 100% AMI. There's gonna be 1, 2, and 3 bedroom mix. This is a Stanford Park development project. Waikolo Affordable Housing, I believe this project is just about ready to complete. They should be finishing up soon. I know they recently did a solicitation for applications. So this one is also in the Waikoloa area. 110 apartments, 30 to 60% AMI, family rentals. The Developers Coalition for Specialized Housing. This particular project is a county project. This is on county-owned land. It is in the Waikoloa Village area called Kamapuanui. We just finished a new master plan on this particular project. When completed, it will give us about 668 units. We are looking to serve income brackets from 30 to 140% AMI. There will be single family for sale units as well as multifamily rentals. So this entire project here is what we're working on, but what we're going to be focusing on in the next year is this mini loop road right here and working to get that installed. So that we can get these parcels here up and running. Probably RFP to get a developer on board to help us do the production of the units. This parcel right here, we're working on a lease with the state for the state library. And that's where that library is going to go. Next slide. Nahale Makoa is a parcel that's located within the Kamapuanui area that I just showed you. But we did an RFP on this one, and Pacific Housing Group is working on this. 140 apartments, 30 to 140% AMI, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom rentals. I'm hoping to see production this year. Okay, so that was kind of some of the projects that's going on in the area that you might be interested in. I'll just touch very briefly on FUDs. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir when I talk about FUDs to this community. Are you familiar with FUDs pretty much? Okay, so formerly used defense site, we are sitting right in the middle of it right now. I believe what I was told by HUD is this is probably the largest single FUDs site in the United States that we're sitting on. I have a map that I'll show you in a little bit, but the Department of Defense on this island conducted live fire training troops this is like back in World War II. And the issue is that they estimate about 10% of the ordinances fail to detonate. So they're still out there. And that is the issue especially when you're talking about new housing development. Why it's important for me, or why I have to get involved in this, is because HUD issued a notice that I cannot use, or I cannot award any of the HUD funding that I administer in this area unless it has gone through a remediation process. A report was developed and reviewed by the Department of Health, and a no further action letter is submitted. So it's requiring navigation from federal government into state government and all of that fun stuff. This is the map. I believe we're here. Yep, so I think you guys are all pretty familiar with this situation. Last topic, homelessness. Last but not least. So, the county has also made a significant investment in this problem. And by passing this ordinance, which is appropriating 75% of tier 2 of the real property taxes for the next 5 years. This current year, that amounted to $9.5 million. My office has developed a strategic roadmap, which was requested by the county council. And we have already gone out to RFP. We've awarded, I believe, 13 agencies for about 17 programs. And we are hoping to have contracts in place by the end of this month to start services. You know, it's a whole topic in itself. And so I would say to you that I would love to speak with you more about this if this is an issue for this community. But maybe we can plan to circle back at another time to do that. So I really want to thank all of you for allowing me to be with you tonight. I wanted to ask, you know, we sent out a survey before. Have all of you gotten the chance to see it, touch it, respond to it? I would love if they could.
Absolutely. So it was sent in our email newsletter. I don't know if we, and on Facebook, on our Facebook page as well. We can put it on our website too,
Okay, awesome.
just to help. And I hope some of you had a chance to do it. It doesn't take very long, but it will help.
It's just about 5 questions, I think it is. And what it will do is the information that we're getting there.
And there is the QR code there if you want to scan it right now.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, that's right. It was a QR code on the newsletter. But
And the data will help us, you know, we want to get this information to see what you think is important in the way of affordable housing development for this community. We definitely want to use that information. It'll help to guide us when we go out to RFP or when we try to develop our programs. So I would really appreciate as much input as I can get. So thank you very much for having me.
yeah, so if it's okay, Administrator, we have maybe some questions here so we can close up and.
Yeah.
Yes, well, yes, Jojo.
I'm Jojo.
Hi,
The
Jojo.
TV is looking at me, just following me around, and I guess I bumped my purse, so my phone went off. Sorry about that. Anyway, I come from Kauai High on Hawaiian Homes, and I don't see anything in there that addresses the Hawaiian Homes housing. And I don't know if you know that the housing project next to the fire station in Hawaiian Homelands, or just before
Here in
Hawaiian
Hawaii.
Homeland, is a county project, right? Okay, that plan is Kauai High's homestead plan. Okay, and in the beginning, when we had applied to the planning department, the planning department took the plan and built that, but now it's under the county. So, you know, there is a connection with Hawaiian Homes and with the homelessness and the beneficiaries and lower income housing. I don't see it addressed anywhere. Okay, the other project that before we even had infrastructure in Kauai Island, we had the transitional housing, okay, across to the national park. That was our plan. And we went through the county council with Kalani Shudi. So that's another project that the Hawaiian Homes people want to see, like a kupuna housing, the one over here by the police station. We'd like to do that on Hawaiian Homes. Our problem is the water. Okay, we need water. Now, we'd like to put in a kupuna housing down there. But if any of your projects is going to take water capacity out of according to the community development plan, only water capacity is supposed to come to Kauai High so that we have water to expand. And we'd like to address the kupuna housing. We would like to address a transitional housing because we already had it down there and it worked well until Queen Emma put in for the cesspool. And then the other project, of course, is we have a plan that we want to present. We need your department to work with Hawaiian Homes because we hit every strategy. We hit every program that you want to come up with, but we have impact to our infrastructure. And I'm saying our infrastructure is already planned for us, but we got to take to send them to Waikoloa. Waikoloa is closer to Keolo than it is for us to go Keolo, go get that water. So we find an impact. And I really want to thank you and the Waimea Community Association for bringing this to the community because it did come down to us again. And I think we're being left out, we're being invisible people. And I'd like to have you guys come down and see our projects that we want to do, because the county comes and help us. You know, it's not like we all stayed at federal down in Kauai. We do have county. We do want to do housing, and we do want to help the homelessness.
Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Susan, did you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so let's make sure before I leave tonight that we're connected, okay? Because I would love to follow up with you. And I have no problem coordinating and collaborating with you, Michelle. Although it's a state agency, we're separate. I'd love to work with them. I've met with them several times. And I think there's a lot of work that we could definitely do together. I wanted to clarify, you're saying that the need for kupuna housing is in the Kauai High area?
Yes,
Okay, so we're gonna take some notes on that as well.
and a transitional
And
housing.
transitional, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, Jim.
thank you so much.
Whitney,
Thank you.
we'll go to you, Whitney.
I'll call you tomorrow.
That's Whitney.
Sorry.
The first question is, and thank you. For highlighting all of the great projects coming up. We're curious, since we are Waimea centric, are there any upcoming projects in Waimea or North Kohala that we should be aware of?
Yes, thank you for asking me that. I totally forgot. You know, I had touched bases with Jonathan Mitchell today, actually. And
Parker Ranch. excuse
Parker
me.
Ranch, projects are definitely coming down the pipeline. I don't have a slide for him because we just connected again today. It's been a little while, but he did assure me that they continue to work on their project. It's kind of a wide range, but he said anywhere from 150 to 300 units for senior housing and affordable multifamily rentals is what they're planning for this community. Really didn't give me very much more information. But I am gonna definitely reach out to him because I think there's some funding coordination and things like that that we can work on together. So right now, that's the only other one. You know, the county runs O'uli Ikahi. It's an existing facility, right, multifamily. And we have plans to do renovations. You know, I think part of the thing that we have to keep sight on is we've got to make sure to maintain the projects that we already have. The preservation is really important. And so that's what we are going to be focusing on, that particular project. But that's the only projects that I'm aware of right here in Waimea.
Were there any, the other one was North Kohala, any other projects in the North Kohala, like Hobby, Kapa'au area?
Not that I'm aware of.
Right, Mr. Khan?
Yeah, I have a few questions about the Waikoloa, the development that you guys proposed. And
The Kamakone,
yeah, is there gonna be another access road from that project to Waikoloa Road?
right.
Or is there gonna be just another big addition to the project then?
Right. I know that that is a huge concern for that community. I know the mayor has been coordinating with the planning department. There's been a lot of discussion about a secondary road. The Office of Housing specifically doesn't get involved with the roads and things like that, but I know that discussion is going on.
Yeah, but that's a big issue because
I know.
since it's a cul-de-sac and you guys wanna build, how many houses do you?
Well, at full build out, I mean, it's gonna be 668
Yeah,
units.
600 homes, but you're gonna have at least 2 cars per home.
Mhm.
So that's like 1,200 cars coming out of that one road out of the development. It's gonna, you know,
No, I totally hear you, but I assure you, that's not gonna happen overnight.
no, but I mean, you guys gotta plan for it now, you know what I'm saying? You can't say, oh, we're gonna build it out and, oh, we're gonna take care of the road now. Also, Waikoloa Road, if you're gonna build that development, you guys gotta widen that road too. You can't have it one lane coming out of
You
that.
know, in a second, I recently did a community meeting in the Waikoloa Village area. And
What?
were you there?
No, I heard
Oh.
they canceled the road, repaving community meeting.
Separate.
Totally separate, yeah. So I did a separate meeting, just kind of like this one with the community there. And so I'm hearing exactly what you're saying. And so, you know, as far as housing development, I think it's really, really important for us. I mean, it's not just roads, right? It's other infrastructure, it's schools.
Yeah,
We're gonna
well,
do,
even a
right?
high school, you guys gotta think about building a
Exactly,
high school
right.
there.
so there's a lot of coordination with the state to do that work. But, you know, this is the partnering that has to happen, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you guys gotta look at all of these things in the beginning, not add it on as an afterthought.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr.
and we
Cobb.
are, thank you.
Engineer Loma?
Yeah, just as a follow-up, you know, what about the water systems down there? It's still gonna be under private ownership? I mean, how is that all gonna work?
Yeah,
You know,
so I believe that that is the only water system that is available right now in the Waikoloa.
okay, so is there gonna be more water development in that area? Maybe I should direct that towards Heather. What's the county's infrastructure? And then on that same page, what about the wastewater treatment?
That's also private. So,
Yes, that's what I'm asking. I mean, how are we gonna progress forward if we're gonna allow this to be all privatized? Because that alone is prohibiting a lot of the development, because there's moratoriums on this, moratoriums on that. And I'm not just talking about just, you know, I'm talking about just for private citizens. You know, like our children are coming home, you know, they wanna build something.
yes.
You know, we have the biggest out migration as well, you know. You know, I mean, there's a lot of focus on these big projects, but there's a lot of people like such as ourselves that we do have Aina. And we do want our children to be able. But you know, we're dealing with that EPIC system, which is a nightmare. I just want you to know it. You know, I mean, thank God my daughter here is computer literate, because you literally gotta check it every single day. You know, your contractor doesn't really take that kind of responsibility because you're all on your own IDs. So, you know, how is all this really gonna work? I mean, I think it's great, but if you don't upgrade that infrastructure, all these projects cannot happen. And that's our biggest concern over here in West Hawaii. Because when we first started all these developments, for some reason, the county council, this was on the Yamashiro administration, you know, where they decided to go with these private kinds of arrangements. We're talking about Puanahulu's all on that. We're talking about Waikoloa's on that. We're talking about all this wastewater treatment facility. This one is here in Waimea, is inadequate. You know, Parker Ranch is coming online. I mean, is the county coming up with a plan where government monies can be used to upgrade all of these infrastructures? To me, that's what the help the community really needs, you know, to get online with these projects. So what's our plan?
My answer to you is yes. The county has been working on this. The cabinet, especially Public Works, UEN, Water, Planning, the Office of Housing, 5 core departments that are critical for affordable housing development. We've been meeting, and we're going to continue to meet. Kind of an action team, I would say, that the mayor has put together. We recognize this. And the more successful that the housing office is with developing housing, we got to make sure that the infrastructure. can
So is the
support
plan
it.
to buy out these private developers?
No. No.
Why is that? Why don't you use the power of eminent domain?
To acquire the
The infrastructure.
I'm not sure.
Because as long as it's under private control, you know, it's difficult as well, you know, for cost controls.
So for the wastewater, you know, we're looking at, the DM is conducting a countywide wastewater strategic plan right now. It's something that we invested in last year. In what we're finding is each area is very different about what's going to be the appropriate solution. Depending, in some places, a private sewer system is going to work best. In other places, extending the county infrastructure is going to be the best approach. So generally speaking, across the county, there's not a one size fits all approach. And a lot of that has to do with the substrate as well. So, you know, there are places where a septic system is a perfectly good replacement for a cesspool. There's others where that's not going to work out as well.
So
So
I thought we're going off cesspool.
We are, yeah. The question is the septic in Lily gonna be any better than a cesspool or pool co where it's under the water table?
It was polluting the whole water table.
Yeah, so that's, I think, what we're looking at now, and there's some actually really innovative wastewater things coming out, small scale treatment facilities that don't have an operator. I think that's one of our challenges is we don't.
So the
know.
government is still of the mind that all of these wastewater treatment infrastructure is, especially as it relates to our West Hawaii situation, is going to remain under the private sector.
I don't think we're gonna acquire any of the systems that are currently privately operated. I
Okay,
think
so
we're-
what are you planning to build your own?
I think for some of the areas that are currently on cesspool, we are looking at smaller individually distributed systems that would be county owned and operated. But it's gonna vary widely depending on the scenario.
I mean, you can't even get your septic pumped. No,
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm
No,
not
it's-
kidding.
I
You know,
agree, you know,
Because
that's,
they're standing in line down at the wastewater to unload their, their loads. And there's been some really nightmare stories about what's going on down there. Flooding, so on and so forth. So what, is the county gonna go build something here in Waimea to offset all of that? Especially Parker Ranch is coming online?
I just have to say, I don't have all the answers for you tonight regarding, especially wastewater.
Well, I don't think that's your Juliana anyway. That's our elected
No, but what I
officials.
want to say is that's the reason why attending these kind of meetings with all of you.
Okay, well, we've been attending these kind of meetings for like 20
Well, this
something
is my
years.
first time, so I'm just.
Okay, well,
I'm
good
just
for
telling
you. I'm happy.
So I'm just telling
You
you
know?
that it's important for me to hear.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is that's not your position. I'm asking our elected officials. What's gonna be the county policy?
and
that's all.
that I think is underway and, we've.
I mean, I don't vote for you, I vote for her. Okay, let's get it straight. This is a democracy. It's our taxpayers' money. That's why we're all sitting here. Okay,
Thanks, thank you.
all right.
Thank you, no, appreciate it. Surely, yes.
I have a question for you. Aside from the foundation, I've worked in the mortgage industry for 25 years. That's really my career, and HUD finance, USDA, VA is my specialty. So I feel that the unexploded ordinance is gonna come into play big time in Waikoloa. I know in November, Rob Perez from ProPublica wrote a very good article about how it affects our Ukatu homestead.
Oh, my God.
And then Hawaii News Now just put out an article last week about how more it's affecting Waikoloa more. Kamako and Nui, I mean, it's an excellent project. I've done financing in there for affordable, and it's affordable. But I do know we need to know further action letter.
Yes,
And
you
so
do.
I think the county has to take that article or that news report from Hawaii News Now serious, because I do know the Department of Health was calling for some sort of contractor on site, like a construction contract
Yes, while the
manager.
project's going- Yes.
Manager, and today you don't have to have that with your regular bills. So I think that might be something the county wants to take a really deep look at, because it may put a halt to everything that's being planned in South Kohala. Because we fall into that bomb ordinance too, so that might be, and I just saw the article last week, and so it's a little bit more in depth than what Rob Perez did in ProPublica.
So we've been in contact with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, who is currently at Kamakura, Maine, finishing up their remedial action work. And of course, keeping in contact with HUD. It's evolving and changing so rapidly. So thank you for flagging me on that. But yes, I agree.
Yeah,
we
Just so it
gotta-
doesn't halt
Correct,
the project. So-
yeah. And so right now, without that no further action letter, I can't put HUD funding in there.
And we can't do that on Hawaiian Homes here in Waimea. Hawaiian Homes is at a standstill. And so, I do know that the Department of Health works on all of the projects, county projects first and foremost, and then Hawaiian Homes. Hopefully by summer of next year, we'll have our no further action letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan, on your new affordable fund,
Mhm.
affordable housing fund, it's a revolving fund, correct?
I think there's going to be an opportunity for loans, but it's not necessarily a revolving fund.
So what you're
It's a
developing with it doesn't get essentially replenished with sales or when your projects are developed, you're not replenishing the
Not
fund?
this particular part of Millville.
Do you have a revolving fund for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And so we did write into the administrative rules and opportunity, because some developers prefer the loan program. And so we've actually done a couple recently. We've not been really geared up to do loan programs like that, but definitely developing templates to do it.
I've seen where, we're coming from Kauai, where the Hurricane Iniki provided a very large fund.
Yes, yes.
And that lasted the county housing agency probably over 20 years.
Right.
Eventually it got depleted
Right.
because it's not truly affordable housing. You're making it affordable by using the fund, but eventually it gets depleted.
We did develop a revolving loan program for Kamakonui in the previous, the first development that we did. But I wouldn't call the housing trust fund specifically a revolving fund, although there's an opportunity for us to do that. Does that make sense? Is that?
Yeah,
I
I'm just
mean-
hoping that at some point. I know the needs are great. You know, you've got, especially your 30, 50 and 80% AMI are probably the most acute. But
And I'll
if you're,
tell you.
but if you're able to expand that into the gap housing to kind of blend it,
Exactly.
then the returns kind of keep that fund alive longer. But if you're only targeting the low end, then it goes through it very quickly.
Yeah. I
And
mean, we've even been talking about if that's the direction and the need that we're seeing, that we may need to contract that work out, because my office is really not set up to do loan programs. And things like that. So, we'll see how it rolls out in the first year, and the requests, that come in. So,
Thank
but
you.
thank
Keep
you.
an eye on the time. We have one question come online and we'll go to the back here. We're gonna kind of maybe wrap up there.
How does your department prioritize which project will be moved forward? And how are you engaging the community who the housing will support in an effort to ensure the housing solutions are appropriate for the designated population?
I'm not really sure what they're asking as far as prioritizing, because all of the projects that come into our office, if it's a private developer who's seeking assistance, they're all important. And so we're not really putting anything on hold to serve another, if that makes any sense.
It's broader, how are you deciding which areas will move forward with certain projects?
Oh, you mean
Is it just
districts?
population based? Yeah.
The housing study, which I rely on, didn't really give us that kind of data, right? So there hasn't been hard evidence of which districts on the island is really the need. So we're basing that on feedback that we're getting. I'll tell you honestly, for example, we know that the need for housing in West Hawaii is high. There's no water resources there. So we work with a developer to move their project along as far as we can go. But if there's no water in West Hawaii, the project's not going to go anywhere. And I have a couple thousand units actually in the pipeline in West Hawaii that can't move because there's no new water resource. So it's not that I don't want to prioritize, for example, West Hawaii, but I have to, and what we see is there's a lot of development in Waikoloa Village, for example. Why? Because there's infrastructure there, right? So it's kind of like a path of least resistance. There's a need for housing across the island everywhere. So we're gonna move to the project that is moving along and that has access to the resources and things like that, so that we can get as many units up and running island-wide. I'm not really targeting a district at this point.
Thank you. We have one question in the back, and I think we'll close it there.
Yeah, just to kind of add on to the figure that you gave of the 10,000 needed housing, is that statewide?
No.
So that's just
It's
the county.
So that when you look at the Hawaii Housing Planning Study, it says that in order to meet the island's needs from 30% AMI up to 140% AMI, we need 10,000 units. And in fact, it says if you go up to 180% AMI, which is market rate housing, it's like 13,000. So the need is very high.
Thank you. One more question here, then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I just thank you for being here, and
I just wanted to let you folks know, you and your assistants here, that Waimea does need housing. We do need affordable housing. We do need senior housing. And it's really important to us. And we hear that Parker Ranch is going to be doing something, and it sounds like it's even been put to you in a vague way. And so hopefully you guys will push that or come up with some alternative.
So
Because
my communication with Jonathan today was, we need to connect. He was giving me some feedback. I said, you know, I'm attending this community meeting. I'd like to share about the project. I don't even have a slide for him, right? But we committed that we were gonna connect. And so hopefully we can help push that.
so we hope it'll happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I still want to coattail on that,
Okay.
if I may. And it's just that I think there is enough of an awareness of the acute need in Waimea that I think there's community will to support what you're doing.
Thank you.
And we need to be asked, you know, so if there's a way to be helping with infrastructure or talking to the feds about assistance for, you know, for whatever, or with the water, trying to help address water issues or UXO issues. I think there's community will to help. But we've got to be asked and engaged in the process.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty. Anything, any last words of the sheriff administrator?
No, I would just like to thank you very much, and, you know, the housing need is so high, and I thank you for the information about your community, which is the reason why I'm here. We have to partner. There is no way that the county is going to produce this kind of housing on our own. So whatever input, support, suggestions that you have, I'm very open to hearing them. So, thank you.
Thank you, Administrator. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So we'll kind of close up here. Just have a last few couple of words. Thank you for staying a little longer, taking the questions, taking the time to be here with us. First of all, mahalo nui to our presenters that joined us here this evening. Appreciate your time and opportunity to connect with our guests, our viewers, our community members, and welcome these opportunities to engage with the community. Mahalo nui. And thank you to our viewers online for joining us on the live stream and attendees here in person. Join us here at Tutu's house. It's always good to see you here in person. I'm smiling here at the camera, making noise for the camera. We're grateful for your support. And mahalo to our friends at Tutu's house for welcoming us in the space and hosting these community meetings here. And you're always welcome to revisit, rewatch these recordings up on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. And for our next month's meeting, our goal is to meet with White County Department of Public Works, the director, Stephen Pawsey, that's our goal for that month in May, as we look at county infrastructure projects in around the area and continue this conversation about the permitting process. We look forward to having you join us for that evening. And with that, I'll say on behalf of the Waimea Community Association Board, wish you good health, be well, aloha. Have a good night, everyone. Drive safely.